So today we are covering a few topics in our weekly catch-up chat. I don't know what we're going to title this yet, Danny's Soapbox or Get Off Your Chest or so on, but Danny's random thoughts. And you've
Crouch
sent
the
me
grouch.
through, sorry?
Crouch the grouch.
Crouch the Grouch. Absolutely. Here he is. And you've sent me through a list, but there's one that's really jumped out that caught my attention that I want to start our session with today. And it's around the use of language in the workplace subliminally. And I'm not talking about swear words. I'm not talking about bad language in that regard. It's how maybe a turn of phrase or somebody's language that they use, how that impacts on others. And I'd like to learn a little bit more about what your thoughts are on that, how you approach that. I've got a little story about it myself that we'll share because I've learned from it as well. So Danny, why don't you lead us off with what you were thinking there?
Yeah, good. I love this topic, semantics, and some people say, what does it matter how you say something or whatnot? But to me, if you put it towards like a football analogy and you hear the coaches and the players, they get on the media and they go, oh yeah, it's about the 1%ers and we just want to do the 1% thing right. Semantics can be a lot of those little things that could sway you from a positive outcome and a negative outcome. One example I can come up with is when people say, correct me if I'm wrong. And I actually had this incident in a lecture at university. I was studying social work. So in that sort of environment, you're dealing with quite vulnerable people that have gone through trauma. Now, if you pull back to that sentence or that comment, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the intention there is to come and saying, look, I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. But when it lands on that person, if what the person who asked, correct me if I'm wrong, says something different to what you said, does that then make you wrong for saying it? Because if you don't have to correct them because they're right, then does that make you wrong? Therefore, is that going to disempower that person who's already in a vulnerable situation because they've tried to correct what you were doing, which might have been, in your eyes, now wrong?
Yeah. So somebody's saying that, and they're trying to maybe say, look, hey, if I've misunderstood, I don't want to be offending you, or I don't want to be coming across as I wasn't listening properly or so on. But how it actually comes across could be, hey, no, I know more than you. I know better, and you're wrong, but I'm just trying to be polite about it.
Yeah.
So what they've said in their eyes is they're trying to softly and politely, engage in the conversation, whereas the other party has received it in the wrong.
And once again, the intention probably more often than not from that person saying, correct me if I'm wrong, they're not intentionally trying to prove you wrong. They, as you say, they're trying to show that they understood what you said. So perhaps a better way of saying that might be, just let me repeat back to you what I understood you meant. And if I'm unsure, can you rephrase it in a slightly different way? And it's putting the accountability and the responsibility on me because I didn't understand, not that it's possibly you're wrong in the way you delivered the message.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about how this could be used in workplace environments. So managers speaking with their team, either in one-on-one or even in group sessions. I mean, my background's in sales management and running teams and so on. So we'll have a sales meeting where all the sales guys are around the table, I'll be at the front, so on, and we'll have a number of, hey, what are your thoughts sessions? Let's get some feedback. Let's come up with some new ideas and throw things around. And when you're trying to, I guess, manage those meetings, there's a lot of different personalities in there. So that could be an example where if you're just having that conversation, it's not just the person you're talking to could take it the wrong way. It's actually everybody else that's sitting around the table as a third party hearing that and judging that interaction on their own.
Well, imagine in that same scenario, you as the sales manager says, okay, has anyone got any ideas on how we can achieve our goals this quarter? And someone automatically says, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought this. Now, they're not trying to correct the manager, but instantly what I'm hearing there is this person lacks the confidence or the understanding of what the mission or the goal is. So they're leading with, I could be stupid, or I might have this wrong, or I might not know what I'm talking about. I don't want to come out and own what I'm saying in case I am wrong. And if I'm wrong, then I'm going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
So in those little phrases and that sort of semantic scenario, perhaps there isn't enough confidence within the team to say, you know what, I think we could try this. And it be then an open conversation rather than, you're an idiot, that'll never work, we tried that before, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. And you're right. If the leader of the meeting does use language like that offhandedly, and part of the team say, "Oh, gee, he got his hand slapped for putting his suggestion up there," then they'll go back into their shell and they won't be participating with full trust as
Yeah.
well. So it's funny how just little things can have those ripple effects. I also, just another example with the terminology. I worked in a construction company, large construction company, and there was a number of different managers across different divisions. And part of my role, I was in sales. I'd have to go and see the construction manager, just to confirm on something with the client's plan or file. So I'd walk in. I always knew he's a busy guy. He's got 500 plus house starts on the go. I'd knock on his door, he'd call me in, and my first word to him would be sorry. And I meant, sorry, I'm interrupting you, but I've just got this urgent question. I've got to close this out right now. He pulled me up on it after a few weeks, saying, don't be sorry to enter the room, or don't be sorry that you're getting this wrong. I was like, actually, no, I'm not meaning that. I'm sorry that I'm interrupting you, but I hadn't gone through and explained myself correctly. But also we hadn't earned that trust level yet to be sort of shortening language. So any other examples that you might have, or any
before
other
I give you
sort
more
of
examples,
bugbears?
I'd even look at how that reflects on you. And does that, and again, I'm not judging, I don't know you well enough to know whether you've been saying sorry since you're a 6-year-old, but my coaching psychological brain goes to, okay, well, often we do and say things because it's based on how we would respond. So is there some sort of response to when people interrupt you, and you might find that offensive and you might feel the need that they apologize for interrupting you? Therefore, you've built up this base that whenever you feel like you're interrupting someone else, you apologize. And these can be little, I don't want to say traumas, but just little things that, you might have been a 6-year-old and, you're sitting on the floor playing with your toys, and your parents had come in and tell you to clean your room. And you saw that as just really intrusive, and they were disrupting your playtime and all that sort of stuff. So you then develop this fear of, well, I don't want to be interrupted. Therefore, if I interrupt someone else, that's highly offensive to me. So I need to apologize straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm listening to what you're saying there, and I can see what you're saying. I can see how those sorts of things would impact. If I was to take your thoughts then and reflect on that time, I would actually say it was the opposite for me, because he was the one manager that I really got on best with. I really respected him. And whenever I had to go into the other managers, I was a bit more cautious as I entered the room, and I was a bit more, oh, do you mind if I have a look at this? But with I'd say his name, Laurie, I'd knock on his door, I'd walk right in, and it was just that we had that great rapport. So I'd, sorry, mate, that here you go, got another one.
Yeah.
He was just hearing that sorry. But I wouldn't say it to the others. That now that you mention that, it's funny how you've brought that outside event into your workplace, and how it can affect those relationships and how you behave, I guess, in a workplace.
Yeah. And going back to your question about other examples, geez, I've got millions of them, but probably one of the most basic ones I can think of, and it's probably a word or a phrase that's changed so much over time, especially with text messaging and emailing, is the phrase thank you. So if you look at text messages and the way people email, a lot of it's, capital T, capital Y, it could be thanks, it could be THX. But the most important part of that phrase is one word, and it's you. So if I'm talking to you, Matt, I want to say thank you because I'm thanking you. When I say thanks, I'm not actually giving that thanks to you. I'm just appreciating what's actually happened. And the vast number of people that I've coached that I literally see will say predominantly, thank you, Danny. And then I'll see them in conversation saying, thank you, so-and-so, thank you, so-and-so. It really stands out and makes a massive difference. And I pull them up on it and they go, oh, I didn't even realize you mentioned that like 6 months ago. And I started training myself to do it. And now it becomes so natural. And it probably, for those people that don't really care about semantics and what this means, when you're in an environment like a work environment and you're continuously hearing, yeah, good, yeah, thanks, yeah, good on you. Then when someone actually says, hey, thank you, Matt, it really empowers you in a way. And if you start getting a team doing that, and then if you want, I can talk about this for hours. And it's an Australian.
Take it away. Go for it.
It's an Australian thing. No worries. All right. Thank you, Matt. No worries. What I've just said is, fuck you. I don't want your thank you. I don't appreciate it. So you're stopping that person from giving their thanks to you by saying something like, no worries. Now, most Australians don't mean, I don't want your thanks. It's just it's semantics. It's people using language without knowing how that can empower and disempower people. So if we go back to the 1%ers again, just by saying no worries, or I really appreciate that, two ways of answering a thank you. One is really embraced and one is not.
Okay. You know, I'd never thought of it like that before. So what you're saying is the transference of words from one person to another can have such an impound effect when you don't actually mean it. Because I am a user of no worries. And when I use no worries, I am just, hey, it's not a problem. Not a worry is, hey, don't worry about it because it was easy for me. I was happy to do it and it didn't cause me any concern or put me out in any way. But when you highlight it like that, I can see that it could be a brick wall to your thank you and what you're trying to impart. Whereas, flipping on its head, would have a.
I can make it even simpler. Imagine, your partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever you've been with for 2 or 3 years. Really hard person to buy a birthday present for. You spend a month thinking about it. You research, you Google all these sort of things. You spend so much time and effort. You go and buy that gift on their birthday. You give it to them and they go, ugh, I don't want that. That's pretty much what a no worries can mean to some people. It's basically just spitting in someone's face. And look, that can sound over dramatic, but let's say, for example, in sales, there's 100 points you have the ability to sell someone on something and you need 60 points. If that's the 1 point that gets you from 59 to 60, wouldn't you want to do something that's going to get you that 60th point? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, that's sales coaching and training right there. I could talk about that for hours, but I won't take up your time and go down that way. But look, no, it's a really good point, and I hope that our listeners are taking on board what you're saying and maybe trying to reflect how they could take that into the workplace. And
actually, have you heard of NLP?
NLP, enlighten me.
Yeah. So when you go down the personal development space, and this can sound a little bit Tony Robbins, get up and cheer and all that sort of stuff, but the actual science behind it, NLP is an acronym for neuro-linguistic programming. So when some people hear that, they go, oh, that's that stuff that, meditation and hypnotherapy and all that sort of stuff. But if you break down the 3 words, neuro meaning brain, linguistic meaning language, and programming meaning like you're basically programming your language to influence your mind. All right. So the way the brain works is we don't hear words like don't, won't, can't, shouldn't. So for example, if I say to you, how are you going, Matt? And you go, not bad, your brain processes bad. It doesn't hear not bad. So just by shifting that from not bad to good, if you're constantly telling yourself you're good every day, or others that you're good every day, your subconscious mind starts to take that on. So you can really heighten that and pick a superb word. Like, how you going? Awesome. I'm going awesome. Now that will have an influence on the people that you're explaining that to and saying that you're awesome. You're sort of giving off this aura. But what's more important is you're telling yourself subconsciously that everything's good and everything's rosy. Now, that's not head in the clouds. Hey, I can walk on thin air and nothing's ever going to happen to me. It's just in life, you pretty much get what you focus on. So if you focus on being a victim, if you focus on being broke, if you focus on, never getting anything well, that's what you're going to get. So by shifting that mindset to focusing on what you want. So I want to be good. I want to be awesome. I want to be healthy. I want to go for a walk later today. I want to do these things. You may or may not do them, but if you start practicing your mind by using your language, you're going to influence yourself to get further in where you want to go.
Danny, that's a really great point. And there's so much more that we can delve into. But what I want to do here is I just want to remind the listeners, if they want to learn more about this from you, so it's NLP, how language can affect teams or one-on-one conversations. Danny, how can they get in touch with you? Whereabouts can they find you online or socials? And what's the process of getting in contact?
Yeah, probably socials is easiest. LinkedIn profile, Danny Crouch. Not so much on Facebook these days, but you will find me on there. I was told apparently that the generation or two below me don't use that stuff anymore. So I'd leave that to the powers that be. And then, website, chooseyourchapter.com.au. And if you look hard enough, you'll find me. Blue Collar Coach, we're rebranding as you can see.
Blue Collar Coach.
I'm wearing a blue collar, always.
Looking good. Looking good. So there he is, Danny, the Blue Collar Coach. Find him online, LinkedIn, socials, or head to www.chooseyourchapter.com.au. Thanks, Danny. It's been great to chat to you today. Looking forward to our next catch up.
Cool. I didn't realize I was finishing.
Sorry, no, hey?
Is that an hour?
No, but I want to, as we have each conversation, just for my editing, so I can round us out and make sure that we've always. So what we'll do is we'll have that